Well, this is going to be fun. We have a team. We're going to be talking some structure, how to set up your squad, and get a little peek at what my 10-minute squad I just put together looks like, just based off the study that I've done so far. Obviously, I haven't completed all the videos yet. I've gone through all of the guns so far, which the centers and the wing fullbacks are going to come out very shortly. A few of the hooker middies, and obviously we've had plenty of news come out thanks to guys like TK and SC Whisperer and a lot of the different podcasts and everything out there that are reporting a lot of the news out so far, so we can get a bit of an idea on the types of players that we want in our squad. So to kick it off, we will do a little bit of a reveal here as to what I'm looking at. A few things did have to change, and there's a couple of ways I would go about this, and we'll speak about it within the structure as well. So what we're looking at is trying to get some type of cover in every position. So in the hooking position, there's obviously a bunch of potential buys right now. The news come out over the last few days, and we've got Tanner Boyd now as a pretty solid option, which I'll speak about in the half middies video. Also, news today came out about Lockie Miller getting moved over to the Knights. So he should get that fullback role and be a pretty solid option for anyone, especially with what I'm noticing here is wing, fullback, and center being a really, really tough position to really fill. So at this stage, I've gone fairly light in those two positions just because I haven't got too many exciting guys to fill that position. I could spend up a little bit more. I was thinking about Brian To'o, for example, and I still might do that at some point. But he is, priced at 39. He definitely has potential to get up towards a 45-50 average, but I think we have to find out a little bit across the preseason as to who we're going to end up selecting in our squad at this point. So I did have Harry Grant in there, but I just couldn't fit that extra 70k or whatever he is. So Robson comes in at this stage. I do like both of them, Grant or Robson, so either one's going to be a great option for your sides. Carrigan or Cotter was the theory here, and 30k difference just brings in Carrigan at this point. I think they're both going to average fairly similarly. We have Adam Elliott, who obviously had a really, really good end to the last season. He moves to the Knights, and it looks like he's going to get a big minute role in the middle there. So 606, he's a bit of a no-brainer, I think, at this point. We have Brandon Smith there at 585, who covers the hooker position. We do have a few guys to do that. Obviously, Tanner Boyd as well, but I'd like to keep him in the halves. But Brandon Smith, we saw what he's done in a 9 role. Someone mentioned there that it could happen what happened last year at the Storm with him getting moved around through the middle, etc. They just don't really have another 9, so the move Verrills on for Brandon. Connor Watson is injured. Brandon will have to play the 9 position, and they've got plenty of forwards to cover that. Another guy I'm looking at here is Mitch Barnett. So if he does get that edge role, I think in 70 minutes plus, he's going to be pretty close to a must-have. I can see him being a 50-plus scorer, which is another 100k on that price point. We move to the edge. You got guys like Hopgood, which we'll speak about, and Garner, who I think are pretty close to must-haves as well, if they get the role that we're thinking of, which is how we'll explain it. If they don't get that role, then they're not going to be in anyone's side. So we have plenty of cover through the mids, and what will happen is Hopgood, if he is named in 13, will get that middle position as well. We've got Barnett covering the mid and the edge, so both of those positions are covered. We have guys like David Mwale, and obviously all the cheapies that we're looking at and talking about here might not make a squad, so they're just placeholders at this point. But I think what you need to look at is probably somewhere between that sort of 5 to 7 cheap guys, I think is going to be fair. Any more than 7, I think you're going to have guys that aren't really going to have a very good of a role, and especially in this bye year, when a team has a bye each and every week, I think you can't have guys that aren't performing at all, or they're not really playing, or they're on a fringe and potentially going to score okay or get a role at some point. I don't think you can have those kind of guys. So all these guys are pretty well placeholders at this point with potential to play, and they're covering all the positions available. So mid and edge are covered at this point. Halves, we have Tanner Hines is going to be my captain. And we also have Jackson Hastings, who I've got in there at the moment at 645. I think has a bit of value as well, a chance of averaging 50 plus. Another thing to look at, guys, is the amount of players you have from each team. So I had a look at obviously guys like Daniel Saifidi, who a few people are interested in. I'm definitely interested in him as well. There's other guys in the edge that we have some interest in, the Kelma Tuolungis, these types of players, Elisi Katoa. Those type of guys I haven't popped in my side yet, but that could change as we go along. Yeah, just the important thing about the amount of people you select in a certain team. I've got 3 from the Knights at the moment. If I got Saifidi, it would be 4. So just be aware of that with buys in amongst it all. Obviously, if they have a buy later on in the year, it's not really going to matter unless they're all going to be keepers. But just something to keep in mind when you're going through your sides. The halves position, I said we got cover there. Centers is a bit of a lottery at the moment. I am thinking about potentially if no real good option comes up, because Tommy Tilau's coming off an injury, he didn't play last year. ACL was his thing, and he's a talented player, but if you look at some of his scores, he's got plenty under 10, which is not very nice if you're looking to start him. So I'm thinking about potentially starting with a Val Holmes, who has a nice run, and Isaac Tungle, these types of players in the center position, spending up a little bit at the start of the year if no options present themselves. But I'm sure things will come up across the preseason there. Wing fullback, a few question marks. As I said, Brian To'o. We have guys like Hamiso as well in the centers, Chance Nickel Cookstar. And then you've got guys like Khan Pereira. We have Tafare for the Dolphins, Titans there. We've got Sloan. It's Perham. There's a bunch of different options. I had Perham in there, but he's $298, so a little bit more expensive to fit in there. I'm sitting with 43 in the bank, so I could go up to one of him if I got rid of Stone, for example. But that's the two positions I'm a little bit worried about. And I think a lot of people, there's going to be a few different strategies in how you do this. If we're looking up top, I think potentially you could go without a hooker gun, but it is a position that is only one player. And I think it's really important to have two good hookers in that space. So at the moment, Robson and Smith is going to be great. And then you've got Tanner, who should score okay as well. You'd expect to have a little bit of value, at least 5 to 15 points potentially there. And you also have guys like Aaron Clark, who is a hooker, but will most likely be named in lock. So that'll be the hook and the mid dual, the same as Brandon Smith. There's a few ways you can go about it. Mid, there's obviously a bunch of different middle guys in terms of their price points. Same with the edge. So you could go gunless in a few of these spots and spend up a little bit lower in the center and wing fullback, which is something I'm considering. You got on the interchange, there's a bunch of those 372k guys. I just popped in Mitch Dunn at this stage just to... as a placeholder. There's potential that he goes solidly over the first month. If he does get big minutes on that edge, he should score pretty well and also make some cash, so you can play him and make a bit of money there. So that's the general theory around this team at the moment, guys. Let me know your thoughts around structure in the comments. I'd love to hear the way you're thinking about going about it. And as all the videos come out around the middies and also the cheapies, and once we learn a little bit more over the preseason, we'll be able to have a really clear picture as to how our teams shape up. But let me know your thoughts on the squad so far. As I said, just put together in 10 minutes. I haven't done all the study on each of the positions yet. I'm doing that as we go along with it. I'm checking out guys along the way and definitely did a bit of study before this one. But I hope you enjoyed that. We'll catch you in the next one.